Hey, I'm ElusiveKev, Mr. Kerr, and welcome back to MotoGP 17 and the manager career. So we haven't gone back in time. Just Dan MacDonald is testing the Moto2 bike, the Calyx. So we improved the parts by 2 weeks, which we chose for the final activity and test of the season. So he's got to be at 135.623 to help us do that development. He's got around 10 laps to do it, but although the tyres do get worn, bike does get damaged if he crashes, and we do run wide, so we're probably not going to do it this lap already. Just going to get used to getting back on this bike though for MacDonald. Moto2 machine where he was so successful his couple of seasons in that category. And of course he's coming off a very successful season in MotoGP. But just like his final season in Moto2, so close yet so far in the championship. And after the next season, he will be retired. After 8 seasons of Grand Prix motorcycle racing, Dan MacDonald hanging up the helmet. And a bit like Fernando Alonso, probably should have had a couple more titles to his name. There's only a difference of 5 points the last couple of seasons. Could have had the triple crown. Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP titles. Meant said he'd be chasing what could be his only MotoGP crown. It would be. Hopefully end on a high, just like Casey Stoner did around 6 years ago now. Probably just seen the Australian's been retired that long. Still very much missing for his riding style, and I would say his outspoken views as well. I don't want to mince his words, as Casey. A bit like, say, Jack Villeneuve used to be in past, or Mark Webber. Got a moment as a pundit in F1 as, look at that, 35-0. Right off the bat, MacDonald smashes the time on the Calyx. As you can see, the suspension fully developed now, brakes just 1 week, and then we're waiting for the frames for 5 weeks. Then the Calyx will be the second fully developed bike after the Yamaha. But fantastic testing from MacDonald. As another year is about to begin, plan your season care considers the only time you can change your rider's roster. I would like it if you could also change your riders during the season, as you can only change the bikes, and it seems a bit strange only being able to change the bikes. When, of course, in real life, you're more likely to change the rider than the bike. But we'll see if Mustang do develop that in the future. But let's talk about MotoGP. We're definitely sticking with MacDonald. It's definitely sticking with the Flying Fin and the Yamaha as well. But we do have enough credits to buy all the other bikes, it looks like. So shall we get the Honda? And shall we get the Ducati? We might as well get the Suzuki as well. And finally, there is the Aprilia. But of course, we're going to be sticking with the Yamaha, at least for the first third of the season. So our MotoGP team is set with MacDonald and the Flying Fin together once again. And then we have got the Yamaha. I don't think there's many other riders better than the Flying Fin to choose from. So some Moto2 specialists there. Got the Master Tuster Andrea, of course, in Moto2 as well. But scrolling through, yeah, there are not many riders better than the Flying Fin. With those stats, they got all in the high 80s and in low 90s for cornering. So Moto2, of course, we're sticking with the Calyx, but again, we can get all the bikes. So let's get the speed up, and the bike is definitely your second best choice in the category, as its stats are a bit worse than the Calyx's defaults, but for the price of only 150,000, it's cheaper than the KTM, and it's slightly more expensive than the Tech 3, but much better as well. As let's get the KTM. Then there's the Tech 3, and finally the Suter. But of course we're sticking with the Calyx, as look at that, is almost fully developed. Now the question is, do we keep with Andrea and Alejandro? With Andrea, especially with that salary, is keeping Andrea. For Alejandro though, are there many better riders out there? I saw quite a few Moto2 specialists. As let's scroll through. As Alejandro's a Moto3 specialist, but look at those stats overall in the mid-70s. There are not many riders that can match that. We've got a hothead Swiss there of Joel Blanc. Then we've got the Portuguese rider. Of course, we had in MotoGP, remember, on that KTM. And there's Andrea as well, all in the 60s. Well, he's kind of maxed out, but, you know, Master Tussa, he can fight through the field. And of course the Flying Finn, he's pretty decent as well. But there's no one who can match even the Swede stats as well. So that's our Moto2 team set. In MotoGP, of course we're getting all the bikes again. But this time we only have to buy the Honda. But we are sticking with the KTM for the time being, even though the Honda's level and stats when you begin with the default before developing the bikes. But going to stick with the KTM just for the time being and maybe switch to Honda later. Now we're sticking with the Swede, of course, our lead rider. But now the second rider, Omar, the weakest link in our rider lineup. The guy hasn't even scored a point. He's got massive potential, but we've only got one season left. We need someone alongside him who can back up the Swede and also challenge maybe for the title as well, like we have with the Flying Finn, like we have with Alejandro alongside Andrea. So let's scroll through, see if there are any Moto3 specialists. There's the Italian. He's got lots of work to do though. You've got the Danish rider. Could have like a Scandinavian team. You've got the Irishman. There's Alejandro, Moto3 specialist. Could maybe drop him down alongside the Swede. There's Jack Vander, remember him? Alongside MacDonald. Moto2 specialist, but had used up all his potential. He got a hot head. Well, he's pushing to this. Sometimes misjudges the risk and ends up falling, but other times he can provide excellent results on the track. Don't want a careful rider. Don't want the American. Could maybe bring back the Portuguese rider. Look at that. Stats around the 70s. There's not many other riders available actually. So we could actually drop down Alejandro to Moto3 because these are Moto3 specialists. And I think having him alongside the Swede would be pretty exciting. And then in Moto2, could have the Danish rider. Pretty decent stats. And then the Swiss rider, look at those stats in the 70s. But I think we're going to rehire the Portuguese rider. Overall 69, always good. And doesn't break the bank. So that is our rider lineup heading into our final season. MacDonald alongside the Flying Finn. Then Rao rejoined the team, this time as a Moto2 rider alongside Andrea. Then Moto3, perhaps our strongest lineup maybe alongside MacDonald and the Flying Finn. The Swede and Alejandro. I expect them to be battling for the title. And we've still got the KTM, Calix and Yamaha as well for the time being. I'm pretty sure. So we've got to rest after those off-season changes. Lots of work done there. And now we head to an activity day. You can go to the gym, do some muscle endurance training for the riders, improve their braking ability by 100 XP. Or do some abs and back muscles training with the coach, improve their cornering ability by 20% for the next race. Social networking, reputation bonus, don't really care about that. Or you could do some coordination training with the coach, improve our riders' body position ability by 20% for the next race. So it's all about developing the riders once again. It's either braking ability, cornering ability, or body position. There are quite a few corners around in the South Circuit in Qatar. But maybe point for the body position, especially that middle sector. Let's go with the coordination training. And now let's head to the first race of the final season around in the South International Circuit. The only race under the lights and in Qatar. So here we are back on the Yamaha. Trying to get through to qualifying 2. Now this might be the only race this season where I actually do qualify one, because I'm going to try and do practice. Maybe just record the session results at the end of it. Because practice determines if you go through the qualifying 2. If you're outside the top 10, you're doing qualifying 2. Or qualifying 1, should I say. So I might do that instead. And then you'll get a couple qualifying laps in qualifying 2 rather than just 1. But this first round of the season around Qatar, going to see what MacDonald can do on the Yamaha. He's revving up that engine though. Maybe a bit too used to how the Moto2 powertrain works rather than the MotoGP one after that ride in Valencia. Going slightly wide as well in the middle sector. Going to be gentle on the power. They go change of direction crazy compared to the Moto2 bike. As Scott Redding's down on his Pramac. Britain going to get into the top 10 in the stands, of course, beat his teammate Petrucci, even though he's on a year-old bike compared to his teammate. Still a very fascinating battle between the pair. Should unfold throughout this season. Now through the triple right. Not really getting any of the corners right, MacDonald. But again, this is only our first effort in qualifying one. Again, we're acclimatised to the Yamaha. But I'm very excited to see what the Flying Fiend can do this season. Maybe he can get top 5 in the championship, not fight for it, but actually be legitimately around it for most of the season. It's 54.7. That's not good at that time, MacDonald. Giving yourself some work to do as all, clipping the curb on the inside. Not the best idea. But slightly wide into the left as well. Just slightly wider than my MacDonald so far. And a bit of a lift through the right. And look at that, 0.3 of a second up already. Short shift it to third, and there is Petrucci while we're talking about Redding's teammate, following his teammate onto the turf. Hopefully it's not the battle I'm talking about. I mean, you know, points right in the race as all MacDonald's down. And that is his second effort. So as MacDonald made it through to qualifying the 2. Does it skip time? He's not. He needed to be a second faster as Petrucci and Alicia Spargo make it through on the Aprilia. You have Jonas Volger, Scott Redding, Jack Miller, Norris Baz, Baptista Rins, and there's MacDonald down in 9th. Just ahead of Rabat, Barbera, Abraham, Spargo, Smith, and Sam Lowe's at the back end of his Aprilia. So definitely going to begin doing the practice instead of qualifying one from the next episode onwards. But for MacDonald, he's got a tough start in slot in this opening race of the season. But he's a very good racer. Let's see what he can do. So here we are looking at the grid with Rossi ahead of Vinales and Marcus, and you've got the Flying Fiend leading the second row ahead of Dovi and Iannone. Insaka leads the third row, Lorenzo the fourth. You've got Volga, Baz as well. You never miss Baz's number. Then there is Blue still in 19th, leading the 7th row with Sam Lowe's right at the back.
After a long weekend of preparation, the race is about to start. You could cut the tension with a knife. But all that matters now is who gets across that line first.
And there's MacDonald with quite a view to the first corner, blocked by quite a lot of riders. Well, let's see what he can do. Quite a long run to the first corner. For the final time in the car, he waits for the lights to appear and go out for this 6th lap race. And that's a very decent start. Already jumped 2 rows, MacDonald into the points. Jumped 2 rows before the first corner. Now it's the brake on time, looking down the inside of the Pramac. And throwing the Aprilia next by. Oh, Pedrosa, he sneaks through into 8th. And now he's sneaking past his teammate. Past Ducati, and he's wheel to wheel with Iannone. Goes wide, lets his teammate back by. But he's already behind him in 7th as Crutcher gives him a good punt from behind on his Honda. A fantastic start for MacDonald with Rossi past Marcus into second, making it Yamaha 1-2. There's Vinales leads. And always getting very close between the Ducati, Yamahas and the Suzuki, but we're into 4th. Fantastic start from MacDonald. Ahead of Dovi, he's really pushed on his opening lap. MacDonald right back where he belongs. No doubt. They're the leading riders after a mare in qualifying. It was almost totally forgotten about. Another 2/3 of the opening lap of the race. And now he's got a real bout on his hands. This is the leading trio. The Yamahas. Of course, MacDonald on the Yamaha. Very good round here. And you've got Marc Marquez. Very tough to pass as the Fiend makes it by Inoni, another rider who's very tough to pass on his Suzuki. Got Dovi rounding out the top 5. You've got Crutch though. And quite a battle around the top 10. Sent into the final corner on this opening lap of the season. It's almost like how the rest of the season is going to go, isn't it? With the factory Yamaha pair of Vinales and Rossi at the front. Then Marquez looking to make a move on his Honda. And Dan MacDonald, as he tops over 210 miles per hour down that front stretch. And look at that move from Marquez on Rossi up into second. And now for MacDonald. We settle in behind the pairs. Look at that. Or trio. Oh, he's going to be making the moves on Rossi. Did the fast down that open out 56. And he was only pass Marquez. Look at that roundabout the handlebar. It breaks early into the right. Next, Rossi have a go. Now the Spaniard, look at that. By goes Rossi. Of course, was the idol of Marquez growing up. Now they race very aggressively, just like MacDonald did. On Marquez, they're being muscled out by the Yamahas in almost 2 corners in a row there. Now MacDonald down the inside of Rossi, holding out outside line. Looks like he's made it up to second now, and he's just got one rider to pass. Maverick Vinales, the reigning champ. The power at it again already in this first race of the season. Battling like a hell. Well, the Spaniard has a pretty decent lead of a couple of laps, so you can see about in the second. Let's see what MacDonald's stronger than his Spanish rival, so we can maybe take advantage of him. He's got around 1/4 of a second gap to Rossi behind. Heads into the penultimate corner. Seems like through those fast rights, definitely a touch faster than Vinales. Down to the final corner, running slightly wide, MacDonald. Not really smooth on the power as well. He won't have a good run down this front stretch, but he might be able to get in a slight bit of slipstream. At the back of his fellow Yamaha there, as he does a 53. Well, Vinales does a 54. We've got half a second faster for MacDonald. Look at that, breaking into the first corner right on the tail of Vinales as Marquez has passed Rossi. And here comes MacDonald for the lead. He's holding that inside line, and it's like he's got past Vinales. And all taking way too much curve though through the fast right. Has not hooked up that corner at all, and Vinales takes advantage, goes around the outside of MacDonald. Like he isn't even there. And back into the lead. So we know in the first set to MacDonald's fast. Almost into the back of his rival, into the left-hander. Just letting the bike run wide though there. Don't turn it too much. So let the bike just run wide. Hope you save some of the tyres as well. So rear's already a bit worn. Now it's status quo just like the previous lap, even though they've got a bit of a gap now to Rossi and Marquez behind. I don't want going wide everywhere. Getting a bit of stage fright maybe. And just that took the lead, and now he's taking some time to recompose himself. Once again going very wide in that right hander. What is going on this lap? Look at that, almost a second lead now with Vinales heading into the final sector. Marquez ahead of Rossi for third. It's all about this pair. Probably got Dovi in fifth, maybe the Flying Finn battling with him for that 5th place. And into the final corner. Well, there goes Marquez having a look down the inside of MacDonald, but it's costing the position to Rossi. They'll really get a good run down this front stretch though. Very long. Let's look at that, MacDonald a second slower than that compared to his previous one. I wonder if Vinales has a handsome lead heading into the second half of the race. As MacDonald once again going searching at the beginning of this lap. That's better, that's into the apex, MacDonald. Maybe you can get a good run through the fast right, maybe line up Vinales for a pass into the right-hander. Yeah, close the gap, but not quite close enough. Got a second gap to Rossi behind, battling Marquez. MacDonald just holding here in this 4th lap. Look at that, back on track, into the apex of corners as well. Smooth on the power, rear tyre halfway worn, nope. In the bottom right. Got to look at that. Think about that heading into the final stage of this race. And playing out this battle with Vinales. Does he want to make a quick pass on Vinales, then build a gap? Or does he just wait, save the tyres, and then attack on the final lap? Do a bit of a Rossi that would be. Rather than the Marquez approach, maybe just getting it overdone with early. Then get away. Looking to the inside of Vinales through these fast rights. Down to the final right, looking to the outside of Vinales. Oh, they touch. Lord takes the lead into the penultimate corner, runs wide though. Now it's Vinales back by, heading on to the penultimate lap of the race. There's a fight going on for the first win of the season, first blood. What should be a season-long battle between the pair. It may just be one win, as I said, but it's very important for the season ahead. And here comes MacDonald, slipstreaming by his rival, back into the 53. So that's the fastest lap. 53.7. Lars breaks very deep as Marcus gets by Rossi. On this penultimate lap, MacDonald, these look at that, they were level across the line. Heading on to the penultimate lap. And MacDonald uses all the curb there. Now through the right kink. That's better as Bradley Smith down on the KTM. Oh, the Brit had a horror season last season. He's already beginning this season off on a similar note as Vinales nicks back at MacDonald. But no room to pass for the reigning champ. There's his main rival. Oh! Vinales into MacDonald! And the reigning champ is down! What are you doing, Maverick? Just assume MacDonald wasn't there. Now MacDonald's got a 1.9 second lead on Marquez. He can manage this to the end of the race. Doesn't need to push too hard. He's got a gap now. But Maverick Vinales snaps at the opening round of the season. To be honest, it's probably more likely MacDonald would have done that, as he saw in qualifying. Look at that, Marcus gained a second in that sector. Because he's got Rossi in tow as well. So maybe you've got to be careful heading into the final lap of this race. His final sector, MacDonald, definitely not that good compared to his rivals. And net shows, look at that, Marcus pushing MacDonald wide. So that 2 second gap is nothing heading on to the final lap. This race in Qatar, the Honda's got the slipstream. Slow that from MacDonald, look at that, 3 seconds slower. But he swoops ahead of Marquez into the opening corner. Now this first sector, this is where MacDonald is a bit strong. So maybe you can put away slightly from Marquez for the rest of it. So goes through the right kink, leads in the back end. He keeps it upright, that's important. Look at that, he's built 0.8 of a second on Marquez. That's more like it. Now through the right. Just get back into that rhythm, MacDonald, for this final half of that. Breaking into the left. On the previous lap, he ran wide. Vinales thought he had taken the lead, but went into MacDonald. And look at this, the flying fin's coming alive. Onto the podium behind Marquez. Could it still be an elusive 1-2? As all, Marquez takes back some time. And that's set, and now MacDonald's running wide. Got no rear tyre left on the bike. Got to be very careful, MacDonald. This final third of the race. Of this final lap, as Marquez goes round the outside. So does the flying fin. Oh, MacDonald, he's going to lose a podium on this final lap. Here comes Rossi. Dives it back by the Doctor. But the Doctor fights back. Now here comes MacDonald into the penultimate corner. Takes back third. But who's going to win this race? So the flying fin, or Marquez. Who's going to finish on the podium? Is it Rossi or MacDonald? As out the final corner. Then it's like Marquez is going to hold off the Yamahas and win in Qatar. just from the flying fin. And look at that for MacDonald. Third. Very good result from where he started, but disappointing from where he went in heading into that final, that first half, the final lap as well. Just fell apart in the final 2 sectors, so he's almost a second behind Marcus, who wins the race just from the flying fin by 33 thousandths of a second. But a double podium for Elusive, very good for the team's championship. With Rossi in 4th, Dobby 5th, Vinales recovers to 6th, just 2.6 seconds off the win. Oh, what could have been if he didn't clash with MacDonald. Pedrosa in 7th, Inoni 8th, Lorenzo 9th, Zarco 10th, Crutcher 11th, Espargaro 12th, Redding 13th, Natista 14th, and wins. Grabs the final point by 7/10 of a second ahead of Jack Miller, with Bradley Smith right at the back. And the standings are as you would expect in the Riders' Championship. In the Constructors' standings, it's Honda by 5 points from Yamaha, with Ducati in 3rd, Suzuki 4th, Aprilia in 5th, and KTM not on the scoreboard. And in the team's rankings, look at that, Elusive begin the season at the top by 2 points ahead of Honda and 13 points ahead of the factory Yamaha team. Then you got Ducati in 4th with 18 points, and Suzuki, Tech 3, LCR, Aprilia, Pramac and Aspar. So 10 teams scored in that opening race of the season. Just mark VDS, Avintia and the factory KTM effort yet to score. As there's a pretty happy MacDonald. Very happy to score points in the opening race of the season. Very solid podium, but to lose out in that final lap. It's like this one, yeah, just tyres and the bike. Getting away from him there. Just explain to clone number 57. Yeah, Losail fans. So in MotoGP, both of our riders smashed their race objective. MacDonald from 90th on the grid to 3rd. And for the Finn from 4th up to 2nd. Well, in Moto2, look at that from Andrea from 32nd up to 2nd. And for Rao, started in 17th, finished in 90th. Not too bad. And then in Moto3, Alejandro started on pole but crashed in the race. Finished in 14th, while the Swede started in 2nd and finished in 1st and leads the championship. So only one rider missed out on their race objective. So a pretty good start to the season, as Alejandro improves his throttle management, Val improves his throttle management and body position and Moto2 affinity, and the Flying Fin improves his body position up to 89 now, as we earn a decent amount of credits and reputation. And we end the episode with an activity or a test. You can do a TV advert for 22,500 credits, High Society do a social event for 750 reputation, earn an extra credit bonus to achieve a sponsor jet to 100% if we do an interview, go to the gym, do some muscle building with the coach, improve the throttle control ability for our riders by 20% for the next race. I'll do a test session, improve a part by 2 weeks. That's then we're just going to improve our riders once again, do some muscle building. So next time out, we head to the Tomás de Rio Honda circuit in Argentina for the 5th week of the season and 2nd round of the championship. Can MacDonald get over that finish line and win? Or will the Flying Fin come from behind once again and grab another impressive podium? Can our Moto2 riders continue scoring? And in Moto3, can our riders fight for the win as well? Find out next time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you then.